this is the fourth attempt at a Fantastic Four live action adaptation. Is fourth time the charm? Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Welcome back if you're returning. And yes, today I will be reviewing the Fantastic Four First Steps. This movie came out in 2025. The date, it was released in July 25th, 2025. This movie is directed by Matt Shakman. It stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Yvonne Moss, and Joseph Quinn. It also features Ralph Ineson and Julia Gardner. I'm going to go ahead and give you the synopsis for this movie. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, the Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, the Silver Surfer. This synopsis comes straight from IMDb. Well, now let me tell you, this movie came out July, like I've said, and it had two competing movies. It had to compete with Jurassic World, Rebirth, and also Superman. If you watched my Superman review, go ahead and watch it. You know I'm a very big DC fan. So when it comes to this, there's no secret about it that I've obviously preferred Superman way more. For the month of July, I would rank it Superman, Fantastic Four, First Steps, and then Jurassic World, Rebirth. These movies were great. Don't get me wrong, but that is the order. The reason being, Superman, for me, personally, I walked out of there feeling hopeful. It was like very hope core, feeling type of thing. But, and there is a but, this movie, visually and sound-wise, it fed me. If you watch my Superman review, again, let me just plug it. There are some things that didn't work for me, and one of them was the music, just because it was recycled from the original 1978 movie. But it did tweak it there, and it did modernize it, and it worked. But it didn't knock it out of the park like this one did. Yes, I'm letting you know, I did enjoy it. It was good. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've gone to go watch a Marvel movie. Actually, the last Marvel movie I've watched was Thunderbolts. That one was just sort of like, I've got time, I went to go watch it, and I did go watch it. Also, I heard some people say that it was pretty good. Despite hearing what people say, I always try to go watch some of the things that even if it's bad, even if it's good, I try to go watch it and try to form my own opinion. Although I did not go watch the Captain America Brave New World movie. Just because I think I was busy during that time. But this time around, I was able to go watch Thunderbolts. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. But Fantastic Four, I had planned to go watch it. There are some things from the trailer that really sold me, One of them being that it's set in its own universe and that you didn't have to watch anything prior to it. And also the style, 1950s, I'll touch on that. But yes, I really did enjoy it. Now, with that being said, there are some flaws, and that's what I'm gonna get into. But first, I do want to talk about all the things that I did enjoy. Let me go ahead and give you a quiet little warning that I will be, this is a spoiler for review, but I will be touching on some of the things, key elements that I will just go ahead and allude to. So if you really want to go into this movie completely blind, just going into it, don't watch this review. But if you don't mind me touching on some things, of course I won't spoil the whole thing. But if you don't mind, just continue watching. But again, I'll try not to spoil big things. Visually, I loved it. Superman also had some good visuals, but here, I feel like it was. There's two big, major scenes that happen. One of them is on Earth, and then the other one is in space. one of those scenes, that scene in space, is a chase. That's as vague as I can get. But yes, it is a chase scene in space, and let me tell you, that chase scene was phenomenal. It was great. I watched it in Adobe screen, and it was great. I wish I would have watched it in IMAX screen. I don't have one of those right now. They're actually building one on my movie theater, so I'm really excited for that. It'll be open in September, but it was awesome. It was awesome. There's when you think about space, you just think about emptiness. But let me tell you, here in this movie, they made it into an obstacle. Like, they really used the environment of, space, and it just leveled it up so much. There were stakes. It was a chase, and it was a heck of a chase. It was a cosmic chase, which is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in the Marvel Universe or any movie. Actually, there's a really great movie that I really enjoy. It's called Ad Astra. It stars Brad Pitt. Great modern space western. But that's beside the point. But this movie, it really fed me. I've heard some people compare it to Interstellar. I would actually kind of compare it to Ad Astra. Like those space scenes. But that's as much as I'll go into that, But the other one is, actually one more thing about that chase scene. The Silver Surfer is involved in this, and let me tell you, she really puts the surfer in her name. Surfing the cosmos. Oh, amazing. She really is a freaking surfer. Like, I feel like the only other adaptation we've seen is from like the 2008 movie Rise of the Silver Surfer, and there were some complaints that, like, why would you gender bend a role, which is completely wrong, because they just changed the Herald pretty much from being that person to Shala Ball, I think that's her name. But regardless, she made it work. I felt even more threatened and scared of this Silver Surfer than I did of that one that we saw, that one time. So there wasn't like any like disservice to the character, to the role of being like a herald, like she did that, and it was great. Visually, she did amazing, but also Julia Gardner, she really did a great job acting as his herald. But yeah, again, great scene. The other scene, it did take place within the city, New York. That one was also good. It was a really good scene. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen glimpses of it where it's like Reed and like the Thing and Human Torch behind. That was also a great, cool scene, because they're also using their environment, and we see a good amount of like how they're using their powers also, like as a group, and yeah, that was a really cool scene. One thing that I will fault this movie for is not having a lot of action scenes, but maybe I would sort of forgive it, because when it did, they were amazing, they were good. One other thing that I really want to highlight is the sets. It seemed like there's been like a running joke on like TV shows. What was it? Maybe it was like The Studio, or I'm not sure what I'm thinking about, but there's like a joke about like I don't want to like it's been a joke about how like the Mandalorian, the Star Wars Mandalorian movie, the show, has just been shot on like just like a green screen thing, or like a blue screen. It's just like nothing is there. This movie, they did practical things. Even the villain was practical, and I really enjoyed that. I love the fact that they made sets, and hopefully gone are the days of like just like standing on a freaking stage and just like using like a little ball to like try to let's make sets again. Let's make props again. Let's go back to that time. Even if it costs a little bit, you know, if you invest in it, people will like appreciate that. Oh my gosh, Wicked recently. All of the props and like the train, all of that, you know, you can really notice the passion behind like the whole movie when you see the props and you see like, oh shit, this doesn't look like CGI. Or maybe if it is, like you can see like some of like the practical things, like, you know. Again, I really loved it. Also, the 1950s, 60s era of it all. Growing up, I love the Jetsons. I've always, like, when I was younger, I've always loved this like idea of like what the future should look like, you know, the Jetsons. Also, although it's sort of like a very different view of what the future should look like, I loved like Back to the Future, the second movie, where, you know, it's sort of like it is that 80s vibe to it, but it's like futuristic, like with flying boards and like the DeLorean, like being able to like just like fly. Always loved it. Always thought it was cool. I loved it, you know. I love that vibe to it. And also I love period pieces, so watching these people have like you know, the clothing and the hairstyles, it was cool. It was really, I really loved that. Although there is a fault to that, but I'll just go ahead and put a pin on that. What else did I love? I also really enjoyed the music. This movie was scored by Michael Giacchino, I believe. And let me tell you, his body of work is, this guy he hasn't been on my radar until now. His theme for he did the he did the Batman, and he also did the Incredibles, which is very ironic given that this movie, the Incredibles took a good, like, it's no secret that the Incredibles took like a good amount of like inspiration from the Fantastic Four. Which is funny because while I was watching this, I really thought about the Incredibles a lot. A lot, you know. If you watch them both, you can see the parallels to this, you know, down to like Jack and like the Underminer, you know. But the score, it was great. The Fantastic Four. I went to go watch this at Adobe screen. And it was like the music was amazing. One thing that I did fault Superman for was the score. Yeah, they recycled the 1978 theme. I think it came out in 78, right? 1978 theme. And I did kind of like knock some points out from that movie, because they did that, although they did like modernize it and have like added like a little bass to it. But right here, this movie, they knocked it out of the park. They really did. This theme is like up there with like the Dune, like, I'm not even gonna try to attempt it, but like the Dune theme, and like the Star Wars theme, and also like other like superhero themes, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the Dark Knight theme, also like the Wonder Woman, like you know. I'm not very musically inclined, so I can't like really dissect it, but let me tell you, very few movies have really like left an impression in me when it comes to like music. But like this one, as I left the whole week after watching this movie, I was listening to it. I need to go back to it, honestly. It's been a while. But it's already August, by the way. I'm so sorry that I'm just now getting this review out, but I'm getting back on it. But yes, ever since I watched this movie, I've been listening to it. It was good. It was a great score. But yeah, this score was amazing. It was great. It was good. And no notes when it comes to music. No notes. It was good. Now, before I go into the things that I did not like, I do want to sort of rank the characters. lucky for me, their powers do line up with like their personalities and which ones I liked better. At the very top, I really liked Johnny Storm. I liked his personality. You know, I'm not very familiar with the characters from the comic books. I sort of got the gist of what they were supposed to be from the very first movie, with Chris Evans and, you know, Jessica Alba and them. But he wasn't that like playboy type of. He seemed sort of like a rock star type of like player, you know, where Chris Evans did sort of play him like sort of like a womanizer who was like very like sort of like an influencer. That's how I describe him. This Johnny Storm seemed more like a rock star, sort of like more of like recluse type of vibe, you know, because he obviously wasn't like as in public as Johnny Storm was, like from the 2005 movie. If anything, the person who was more in public was Ben Grimm. But here he was more like to himself. It seemed like he was over Earth. It seemed like he really wanted to go out into space. And that was interesting, but we didn't really get an explanation as to why. But it just seems like he just really wanted to go back into space. Maybe there's something there, some trauma. But I did get some layers as to like, you know, he does seem like a player. And I really liked him. Also his powers, because there is some, you know, because there is some scenes in space and there's no oxygen in space. They were able to make it work, because there is like sort of like a contained space where he was able to flame on. And then within that space, he was really cool, you know, especially when he was sort of was he racing the Silver Surfer? You know what? I don't. Just go watch it. His powers were really cool. There's a scene where he's sort of helping out firefighters, and that's all I'll say. He does something with his powers that I don't think I've ever seen before. I only thought he could combust and like throw fire. I didn't know he could manipulate it. That's all I'll say. The second person, Sue Storm. Sue Storm just does have like a good, like, she has agency in this movie. She's not as like just like arm candy as she was like in the 2005 Fantastic Four. She seems like, you know, she's doing her own thing. She's negotiating with like other countries. She's got her own agency, and her powers are pretty cool. It's sort of like a distorted light type of thing, which is, you know, fitting because she distorts light. I think I'm not very sure what her powers are. Like, I know she can make force fields, but also she can like make herself invisible. She has like two powers, which I've never understood why. Like, I don't know, but they were cool. The next person that I would rank is Sasha Ball, who is a Silver Surfer. She was really cool. Like I've said already, she really was a surfer. She was more leveled up than the Silver Surfer from the 2008 movie. And in that movie, it seemed like he was very like powerful, but this one, this surfer was like very like, you know, threatening. But personally, like when it comes to her personality, she seemed threatening, and I don't know, like there wasn't very much to her other than, you know, coming to Earth and letting people know what was up. But in the very short, small, little bits of dialogue that she had, she really invoked, you know, like this, you're doomed and I feel for you, but it is how it is, you know? And she seemed like she gave them sort of like this, like your Earth is marked for death. Hold your loved ones. It was like it seemed like she was like bearing bad news, you know? It didn't seem like she was threatening, you know? Again, in the very small little bits of dialogue that she had, she really invoked those feelings. And that's, all props to like Julia Gardner. She did a really good job. Who's next? The next person would be Pedro Pascal's Reed. Now, yes, he is the patriarch of the family, but from my understanding, what Reed is supposed to be, he's supposed to be like a cold, distant type of person, which is why like he has these people, or like these people, it's not why he has these people, but like that's sort of like the balance of like what this family is supposed to be. He is cold, but these are sort of like his Jiminy Cricket type of people that sort of ground him. It did seem like he had a heart, which I wouldn't say is like a bad thing, but he didn't seem as cold. I felt like there were some glimpses that that they sort of wanted to make it seem like he was cold, because of the fact that like he had to like think of like when coming face to face with the predicament of like Galactus coming to destroy our world, there is a price that can be paid, but is he willing to pay that price? There is sort of like a moment of like him considering that, and it's sort of depictive of like, oh shit, like why would you even consider it? Why would you even think about that? And he does sort of rebuttal of like, I have to, this is like a curse that I've been like being the smartest man, like you have to take these things into consideration. And that's about as much as we get to that, to like seeing like him sort of like being dark. But honestly, Pedro Pascal seems like, just like I've seen a lot of press of his from like Fantastic Four, but also Materialist, another movie that came out. When did that come out? It came out like earlier this year, but like he just seems like a great guy, a really nice guy. That not to say that I didn't buy it, but like it seemed like I don't know, I just see him like as a really nice guy, and it seemed like they really toned that sort of like dark coldness like just a little bit down. In terms of powers, you could see where he will like reach out, and then it would just cut to like a CGI hand like stretching across, and like him like sort of like blurred out in the back being attached to that arm. There were very like bits and pieces of like him using his powers, but they weren't much. Like there's a part where in the trailer you see him sort of like jumping on things and like reaching out. Very CGI. They weren't as like, honestly, in terms of powers, this one seemed like not that good. I don't know. Can we make stretchy powers seem really cool? Is it a very cinematic power to have? I'm sure it is, but it just hasn't been able to be like done very well. So it is what it is. Maybe we can try again. But like honestly, the way his powers were used, they weren't like fantastic. But the very last person in this list is Ben Grimm, the Thing. He just was sulking. He wasn't given that much time, which is kind of crazy, given that this movie is only like an hour and 50 minutes, I believe. I was gonna make the comparison that like Superman was like a very cast-filled movie, and even Mr. Terrific was able to like give us something. And it's crazy that the Thing being like one of the main members of the team that we're watching, couldn't even get that. But that movie was like 2 hours long. So, I will give this movie some grace that they only had like an hour and something. But still, I feel like another character that got like a good amount of time was Mole Man. So maybe that character should have gotten cut, in favor of like giving the Thing more screen time, One thing that I did like, and his powers were like simple. He was just crashing through things, strength. But one thing that I will say within this movie, there was a lot of world building that I really enjoyed. Great world building, amazing world building, 1950s. Each one, Ben going into like his little like neighborhood, and that's about as much as we get. Johnny sort of like having like wanting to go out into outer space, and just having this sense of like looking up into the stars. There was recently this like comic book called Green Lantern, where Hal Jordan has been like sort of grounded because he doesn't have a ring anymore, and he like looks up out into outer space, and he's like, that's where I should be. And it's like it's a good run. I forgot who's writing it, but I remember thinking about that. But also Sue Storm having like her like sort of like diplomatic thing going on. There was a lot of world building from these characters, like being in their environment and like just living within it, that really made me invest into this world. But one of the flaws that I think sort of like took me out was the fact that this movie is set in the multiverse, in another planet. It does seem like this phase of the Marvel universe, the multiverse saga, is coming to a wrap. So how would that like even like, why would I get invested into this world when it's just like like the multiverse is just gonna get wrapped up? This is also a period piece, which not really, because again it's like say like in another world, but like I don't know, I just feel like there's so many things that this movie wants to be. It wants to be a period piece, it wants to be a multiverse story, but it also wants to be a cosmic story, which let me tell you, this movie is like, it feels very cosmic, and it did great being a cosmic movie, but it just doesn't seem like it can fit within the world, or like within the tapestry that is like the Marvel story. There's a lot of world building, but it just doesn't, like, I don't see where it can fit. And that's one of the things that just sort of like throws me off. Like, of course, like for what it is as a movie, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. But it's like it seemed like it was just trying to do a lot of things. Also, there is like a new member to the family. It does seem like there's a lot of things that are just like jumbled into this movie, and it's only an hour and 50 minutes. Honestly, it should have been stretched to like 2 hours, really, or it should have just been like a mini series. It should have been like just like throw it to Disney Plus. Make a TV show out of it. But what else could I like sort of talk about? Also, this movie is basically just the second Fantastic Four movie, Rise of the Silver Surfer. There's a beginning, there's an intro. We sort of see that, this Fantastic Four has been like in this planet, in this world for a while. And then we just get threatened, and then it's just like, what are we gonna do? It's sort of, they're like, the rise and fall is very like early in the movie. But again, it is a very short movie, so it does like go by fast. So that's fine. That's cool. There's a bit of filler, but it moves like for the time. It's fine. It's okay. Once you start getting like bored and it's like, all right, this is kind of dragging, it's already picking up. So that's fine. That's cool. Another thing that I would want to mention is that like in the first trailer that came out, there's a good amount of things that happened that we got to see in the trailer that just didn't make it. There's a part where in the original first trailer that we see sort of Sue describing Johnny as being a hothead. Ben is our rock. That stuff just got cut out. Also a part where Johnny's like in the couch and he sort of like flips his like helmet. Honestly, this movie seems like it was very, it's like it was a very good product, really. There's a lot of writers. There's a lot of writers in this movie. It seems like it was cut, edited a lot. And it was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic. And that's all I can say, really. Maybe there was like an hour that could have been added and it could have been made it meatier, you know? Also, maybe it could have been added like I don't know. Like there's some things that I feel like could have been fixed, but I don't know how they can be fixed given that so much time has passed in the Marvel universe that it's like this movie honestly should have came way before, you know, in the early phase of the universe, you know? It should have been like up there with like Captain America type of thing. But it is what it is. What would I give this movie? I would rate it a 7.8. A 7.8, maybe a 7.6. 7.7. Let's give it a 7.7. It's good. Honestly, if you want to watch a movie that's similar, go watch The Incredibles 1 and 2. I feel like they have a better family dynamic than this movie does. Actually, damn, so very late. But one thing that I did like, that I did believe, was Johnny and which is, you know, kind of funny because they are at the very top of my list. But Johnny and Sue did seem like siblings, way more than Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan and Kate Mara ever did. Great chemistry. They felt like siblings. But yeah, if you want to watch something that's similar like this, go watch The Incredibles. Honestly, it's animated, but they do a heck of a job with their powers. Violet, Elastigirl, it's great. It's great. They have more agency there. They have more ability to like use the powers. As I was editing, I did realize that I didn't even get into Galactus. So Galactus is played by Ralph Ineson. He is the big threat in this movie. And let me just say, from where we were, what we got in 2008 to this, leaps, bounds, way better. It's the progression we have achieved. This is a way better realized Galactus. You know, when it comes to campy, very comic booky characters, it's either a hit or a miss. And let me tell you, this was a hit. The one character that I'm thinking about is MODOK. You know, such a wacky concept. This isn't as wacky, but you know, it's kind of wacky, you know, when you look at the comic books. But this was very well executed. It felt like the height, the magnitude of this threat was, it was a cosmic threat, you know. And I just want to mention how cool the suit and the visuals were, you know, when it comes to Galactus. This character was, although, you know, you can tell the CGI-ness of it, it was also practical. They did put him in a suit, and it was a practical suit. You know, I feel like this is a very good blend of practical, but also, you know, using VFX, just being able to blend it in. But yes, I'm very glad with this other villain that we had in this movie, and I'm very excited to see where this character could go from, you know, after this movie. But yeah, that is my review. Stay tuned for more videos. I know it's a very late review, but I'm so sorry. Look out for my weapons review that will be coming out very soon after this, or maybe before after this. But yeah, August is a slow movie month, so maybe I'm gonna be able to catch up. I do plan on reviewing Naked Gun. That movie, although it seems it's a comedy. I don't know. I want to review it. And yeah, that is my rating for this movie, my review. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you loved it and enjoyed it. If there's something that I missed, maybe that would change my perspective of the movie. But yeah, stay tuned, like and subscribe. I hope you like and subscribe. And let me know what other movies you're excited for the rest of the year. Again, I am sorry that I am a bit late, but August does seem like it's going to be a slower movie month. So I am going to take advantage of this and try to, catch up and do some reviews that I've just been missing. But yes, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.